I arrived at JFK with a suitcase full of optimism, my heart pounding with excitement and nerves. The airport buzzed with the energy of 1,000 stories beginning and ending, and I was convinced mine would be one for the books. Tucked under my arm was a color-coded, laminated plan for my solo New York City adventure. Each hour accounted for, every landmark mapped out, and backup options for rain, hunger, or sudden inspiration. I'd spent weeks researching, convinced that preparation was the key to a perfect trip. I pictured myself striding through Manhattan like a movie star, sunglasses on, wind in my hair, ready to conquer the city with effortless charm. I imagined spontaneous friendships, hidden gems, and the kind of serendipity you only see in films. Reality hit fast. My cab was an app that kept crashing, and traffic crawled at a glacial pace. The city outside my window was a blur of honking horns and brake lights, and my driver seemed as lost as I was. My hotel, so charming online, was wedged between a vape shop and a boarded-up building. The lobby smelled faintly of cleaning supplies and disappointment, and the elevator creaked like it was sharing its own regrets. My itinerary already felt like fiction, a fantasy novel written by someone who'd never met New York's reality. The city was rewriting my story before I'd even unpacked. My first act? Buying a hot dog from a street cart, lukewarm, soggy, and devoured on a street corner while a pigeon judged me with the intensity of a seasoned New Yorker. It was a far cry from the glamorous meals I'd imagined. Mustard dripped onto my shoe, leaving a bright yellow stain as city dwellers rushed past, barely glancing my way. The city was unimpressed, and so, apparently, was my lunch. I was living the dream, one sad, mustard-stained bite at a time, surrounded by strangers who seemed to know exactly where they were going. My optimism was wounded, hiding behind jet lag and the realization that New York doesn't care about your plans. The city moved on, indifferent to my carefully crafted schedule. The city has its own agenda, mostly walking and confusion. I was swept along in a tide of people, my sense of direction dissolving with every block. I looked up at the endless buildings and crowds, armed with a flimsy hot dog and a map that might as well have been in ancient Sumerian. The city loomed above me, vast and unbothered. I was alone, already off script, and the adventure had begun. My plans were unraveling, but maybe that was the point. It was weirder than I'd ever imagined. Welcome to New York, where the only thing you can count on is the unexpected. I approached the subway with the confidence of someone who's mastered a TV remote. The city pulsed around me, and I felt ready to take on its underground maze. After all, millions of people do this every day. How hard could it really be? Buy a Metro card, swipe, ride. That was the plan. The Metro card machine blinked at me with 1,000 options, but I managed to get my card, feeling like I just cracked a secret code. I took a deep breath and headed for the turnstile, ready for my first real step into New York life. The turnstile had other ideas. My first swipe failed. So did my second. The machine beeped, New Yorkers sighed, and the line behind me grew. I could feel the collective impatience of the city pressing in, and for a moment I wondered if I'd ever make it past this metal gatekeeper. A stranger took pity on me and showed me the secret. Swipe at just the right speed like a Zen master. Not too fast, not too slow. It was a delicate art, and suddenly I was initiated into the club of successful subway riders. I finally made it through, only to face the map, a tangle of lines that made no sense. The colors and numbers blurred together, and every route seemed to twist and turn in impossible ways. I aimed for the Upper West Side. I ended up in Queens. Apparently, reading the map is its own rite of passage. I sat on the train, watching unfamiliar station names fly by, wondering how I'd gone so wrong. Each stop was a new mystery, and I realized that the subway is as much about improvisation as it is about planning. Eventually, I learned, stand clear of the closing doors is a threat, not advice. Those doors wait for no one, and if you hesitate, you're left behind, watching your train disappear into the tunnel. Eye contact is a declaration of war. In the subway, everyone perfects the art of staring at nothing, headphones in, eyes down, pretending the chaos doesn't exist. Sometimes the train skips your stop for reasons only the transit gods know. You can plan all you want, but the subway has its own mysterious logic, and sometimes you just have to accept it. The subway is loud, crowded, and smells like a science experiment gone wrong. There's music, there's shouting, and there's always that one mysterious odor. But I survived, mostly. I only ended up in the wrong borough 2 more times. That's progress, right? Each mistake was a lesson, and every wrong turn made the city feel a little more familiar. The subway wasn't just transportation. It was a daily test of willpower, patience, and adaptability. Every ride was a new adventure, and every challenge made me a little tougher. But conquering it felt like a real New York victory. Emerging from the station, I felt like I'd earned my place in the city, one swipe and one wrong train at a time. Even if I never pronounced Astoria Ditmars correctly, I was officially a subway survivor. Eating alone in New York is a social experiment, one that's equal parts liberating and awkward depending on the hour and your mood. In a city where everyone seems to be in a hurry, you become both observer and observed, a quiet participant in the city's endless performance. Except, here's the secret. No one cares you're alone. In fact, you're just another face in the crowd, blending into the city's tapestry of solo diners, couples, and groups. My first solo dinner, at a tiny table wedged by the kitchen, with one menu, one glass of water, and a dying fern for company, felt like a rite of passage. The clatter of dishes and the hum of conversation became my soundtrack. My phone became my shield and companion, propped against the salt shaker as I scrolled through photos of people having more fun, or at least pretending to. I texted home, having a great time, while chewing pasta with tax filing enthusiasm. The truth, I was both amused and slightly self-conscious, but determined to enjoy the moment. But there were perks, like ordering exactly what I wanted, pineapple and anchovies, no one to judge, no one to wrinkle their nose or make a face. I could be as adventurous or as basic as I pleased. Cheesecake for breakfast? Why not? In New York, rules are more like suggestions, and breakfast can be anything you want it to be. I became a connoisseur of the slice, eating pizza while walking, mastering the art of not dropping it on my shoes as I dodged taxis and tourists. New York bagels? A religious experience. Each bite was a reminder that some things are worth savoring, even if you're savoring them alone. Eating alone forced me to be present, to people watch, to listen to the city's frantic ballet. I noticed the rhythm of footsteps, the snippets of conversation, the laughter and the sighs. I saw first dates, awkward meetings, families celebrating birthdays, and friends reuniting after years apart. Each table told a different story. I was invisible but free. Lonely, yes, but liberated. There's a quiet confidence in enjoying your own company, in not needing an audience. My phone was always there, a loyal, glowing friend. Sometimes a distraction, sometimes a comfort, always a connection to the world outside my little table. And I was on my own schedule, indulging every weird craving, learning that sometimes the best company you can have is yourself. Traveling solo means you're your own photographer, a job I failed spectacularly. My camera rolled blurry backgrounds, half my face, and a lot of forehead. My Statue of Liberty selfie? Mostly my nose with a green smudge in the distance. I tried propping my phone on trash cans, setting timers, and even bought a selfie stick. My shame was complete. There's no subtle way to use a selfie stick. You just look like a tourist who's given up. The best photos were the accidental ones. A blurry subway car, my feet on a grimy sidewalk, my confused reflection in a shop window. These captured the real trip chaos, confusion, and the feeling of being a very small person in a very big city. The awkward selfies weren't just bad photos, they were honest. They told the hilarious, unfiltered truth of my solo adventure. I gave up on perfect shots. The imperfect ones were better anyway. Every guidebook says you must see Times Square. They don't mention its psychological torture. I emerged from the subway into a blinding, deafening pinball machine of humanity. Giant screens screamed for attention. Crowds moved like a slow river of fanny packs and I Heart NY shirts. I tried to weave through but was swept along, powerless. Off-brand cartoon characters, the naked cowboy, and aggressive flyer-hander outers completed the chaos. You need a steely gaze and emotional armor to survive. 15 minutes felt like a lifetime. I didn't feel awe, just anxiety and a desperate urge to escape. Times Square is pure, unfiltered chaos. I survived, but never wanted to return. It's a rite of passage, so you can appreciate the peace of literally anywhere else. I'd heard New Yorkers were rude and impatient, so I braced for a week of scowls. Mostly, I got glorious indifference. In New York, you're invisible. No one cares what you wear or if you're lost. I once tripped and performed a flailing ballet. No one even looked up. It's not rudeness, it's survival. If you noticed every odd thing, you'd never get anywhere. But sometimes, the indifference cracks. When I looked truly lost, someone would give directions. Quick, precise, and gone before I could thank them. Not friendly, just helpful. And that's better. The real New Yorker isn't a movie stereotype. They're just people with places to be and no time for nonsense. They've mastered the art of living among millions by creating a personal bubble of purpose. Walk fast, talk fast, ignore the chaos. I came to respect that. Their indifference is a silent agreement. Let each other exist. It's the city's greatest unspoken gift. My itinerary assumed I had a sense of direction. I do not. I spent much of my trip lost, confidently walking the wrong way out of every subway station. My main discovery? New York's obsession with scaffolding. Every other building seemed wrapped in metal and plywood. I have more photos of green walls and pipes than actual landmarks. But getting lost had perks. I found quiet brownstone streets, hidden gardens, and a coffee shop I'll never find again. These accidental discoveries felt more authentic than anything planned. My lack of direction became a feature, not a bug. Of course, there were moments of panic, like getting lost at night with a dead phone, but I always found my way back, eventually. Getting lost is an essential part of the New York experience. Walking the Brooklyn Bridge looks romantic in photos. In reality, it's a slow-motion stampede. The pedestrian lane is a clogged artery of tourists. The bike lane is a racetrack for angry cyclists. People stop for selfies, tour groups block the path, and you're constantly dodging rogue selfie sticks. I tried to have a reflective moment, but was jostled by a family and nearly run over by a city bike. The romance vanished. Survival instincts took over. Still, the view is spectacular when you can catch a glimpse. The skyline, the river, the Statue of Liberty, it's all there if you fight for it. Walking the bridge is a test of patience and perseverance. It's crowded, stressful, and beautiful. The journey is a struggle, but the view is worth it. It's New York in a nutshell, chaos and beauty, side by side. You have to earn the moment, and you'll never forget it. My solo trip to New York was a series of small comical disasters. I was defeated by the subway, dined with my phone, took terrible selfies, and got lost constantly. By any measure, it sounds like a terrible vacation. But it was one of the best trips of my life. There's magic in navigating New York alone. Every small victory feels monumental. The city forces you to be resourceful, resilient, and thick-skinned. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, then shoves you further. The beauty of solo travel here is that the city becomes your companion. Loud, demanding, never boring. The wrong turns and quiet moments stick with you. You don't just see the city, you engage with it. You arrive a tourist but leave with a hard-won piece of understanding. Should you travel to New York alone? Absolutely. Be prepared to be humbled, lost, and invisible, but also free and accomplished. And you'll have the awkward selfies to prove it.